All right, let's dive into a term that's at the center of a really charged, really important conversation happening in the United States right now. FBA delineation. It's a debate that gets right to the heart of American identity, history, and economics. And it all kicks off with one fundamental question. And it's this: is the Black experience in America monolithic? Is it all one single story? Well, the whole movement for FBA delineation argues that the answer to that is a hard no. And getting why they say that, well, that's the key to understanding everything else we're about to talk about. So, what is it exactly? Simply put, FBA delineation is the push to create an official, formal category for what they call foundational Black Americans. The whole idea is to draw a clear line separating the descendants of U.S. chattel slavery from, say, more recent Black immigrants. And this isn't just about changing words on a form, it's about making a very specific political and historical claim, which is all aimed at one primary goal. And that primary goal? It's reparations. To really get the drive behind delineation, you have to understand the economic argument that's fueling the entire movement. It's a claim built specifically on lineage. The way proponents see it, lumping all Black people into one big group actually waters down the specific justice claim that belongs to foundational Black Americans. Their core belief is that the damage from chattel slavery and Jim Crow is unique to their family trees, and because of that, the debt that's owed is unique to them too. Now, if you look at this from a legal standpoint, any real shot at a reparations claim needs three things. You've got to have clear rules for who's eligible, claimants need to be able to prove their lineage, and you need a very clearly defined group of beneficiaries. Proponents of delineation say that without this separation, the whole argument for reparations just falls apart. It becomes legally messy and politically weak. And, this isn't some brand new concept. History actually shows us that successful reparations have always been based on lineage. Just look at the models for Holocaust survivors, or Japanese Americans who were interned during World War II, or even the settlements for Native American tribes. None of those were just broad, pan-ethnic payouts. Nope. They were all targeted to a specific group with a specific historical grievance. And that's exactly the model the FBA movement is trying to follow. Okay, so that's the legal theory, and it's pretty clear. But what about the real world? How does this actually translate into dollars and cents today? Let's take a look at the economic impact, or lack thereof, of the FB delineation movement right now. Which, of course, brings us to the multi-billion-dollar question: if the main goal here is economic justice, what actual tangible gains has FBA delineation produced for the community so far? And the answer, for now, is a big fat zero. This really shines a light on the massive gap between the movement's ultimate goal and where things stand today. As of right now, there's no federal or state policy that gives FBA exclusive financial benefits. That means the economic impact is, well, entirely theoretical. But, and this is a big but, that doesn't mean nothing is happening. Indirectly, the movement is having a huge effect. On the one hand, it's definitely sharpening the focus and creating stronger advocacy for FSB-specific issues, like closing the wealth gap. But on the other hand, it's causing a lot of friction that some worry could end up fracturing the broader Black political coalition. And that friction brings us right to the social side of all this, because while the direct economic impact is still just a theory, the cultural impact, especially on Black immigrants, is very, very real, and it's creating some serious tension. A central narrative you'll hear from within the FBA movement is this idea of competition. The argument goes that Black immigrants are benefiting from things like affirmative action, programs that were originally created to address the legacy of slavery, without having that specific history of struggle themselves. This creates a powerful belief that opportunities are being, siphoned away from the people they were meant for. However, when you actually look at the economic data from places like Pew Research or the Brookings Institution, a totally different story starts to emerge. The research pretty consistently shows that immigration has a tiny, almost negligible negative impact on the wages or job prospects of native-born Black Americans. So the feeling of economic harm seems to be much, much stronger than the actual economic reality. And this right here shows the central irony of the movement so far. It's a movement driven by an economic goal, but its biggest impact hasn't been on people's bank accounts, it's been on culture. The vast majority of the effect is social. It's playing out in fiery online debates and arguments over identity. Right now, it's much more of a battle over narratives than it is a battle over jobs or dollars.
So you can see how this whole delineation idea forces some really tough, really uncomfortable questions out into the open. Questions like, who gets to be the face of Black America in movies or in politics? Who really owns the cultural narrative? And should all Black people in the US even be expected to have the same political goals? These are the debates that are happening in communities and all over social media every single day.
Okay, so where is all of this headed? Is FBA delineation a real, concrete political strategy that's eventually going to deliver tangible results? Or is it more of a symbolic movement that's really about identity? Let's look at what's going to decide its future. The movement's future really boils down to three big variables. First, official recognition. Is the US government ever going to actually adopt lineage tracking for policies? Second, can it deliver? Will the movement actually produce tangible policy wins or money? And third, community relations. Can these internal tensions be managed, or will they end up fracturing the overall Black political power base? The answers to those three questions will pretty much write the final chapter of this story. So, to wrap it all up, here's the state of play for FBA delineation as it stands today. The economic impact? Still a future goal, completely theoretical for now. But the social and cultural impact? Oh, that's very real. It's significant and it's growing. And that tells us that, right now, this is first and foremost a political and identity-based movement, one that is fundamentally changing the conversation inside Black America. And that leaves us with the ultimate question, doesn't it? Will this movement make the jump from being a powerful symbol of identity to a political force that actually achieves concrete wins? Or will its main legacy be the deep and, divisive debate it has kicked off? That is the big, unresolved question at the very heart of FBI delineation.